This is Songwriters Room, and I'm your host, Tomoko. Today's guest is Dennis Blair. Dennis Blair
Hello.
is... Hello! Dennis Blair is a true Renaissance man. He is not only an award-winning songwriter and comedic actor, but also an accomplished screenwriter. Yet he is probably best known for the caustic observations and musical satires of his live comedy performances. Early in his career, Rodney Dangerfield made him his protege, and together they toured the United States and Canada for over 3 years. And Dennis co-wrote Rodney's hit movie Easy Money, also played two cameo roles. He also co-wrote and was a featured actor in 2 Dangerfield specials on ABC and co-wrote the Grammy-nominated song Rappin' Rodney. He's also the winner of the Emmy Award for the animated film Confessions of a Stand-Up, as well as Charlie Award for Best Comedian in New York. Other big comedians that he's opened up for are George Wallace, Jackie Mason, Joan Rivers, Norm Macdonald, Joy Behar, Elaine Bouzier, and the late, great George Carlin, with whom he toured exclusively for over 18 years. George Carlin said that Dennis is the only person who can make him belly laugh. He's also opened up for singers such as Tom Jones, the Righteous Brothers, the Beach Boys, Toto, the Spinners, the Four Tops, Natalie Cole, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Dionne Warwick, Shirley Bassey, Sarah Vaughan, Al Jarreau, Gloria Estefan, Melissa Manchester, Paul Anka, Mary Osmond, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, and more. He's released a beautiful jazz revival album, Hapless Romantic, with his former songwriter partner, John Darkin. His country song, I Miss George Jones, from the album Music from Big Brick, reached the number 2 on the International Independent Country Music charts. 4 of their country songs won first place in the Indie Music Channel Radio Music Awards. He also won the Emmy Award for both writing and voiceovers for the animated film Confession of a Stand-Up. His book, Me First, to be published soon, and currently writing the sequel, the smash musical Menopause, entitled Menopause 2, Still Hot. So today, Dennis is graciously giving away 4 CDs to the lucky listeners today. If you sign up on my email list at tomokomusic.com and message me through the contact page and tell me what part you liked about today's show and which CD you like, one person will get both CDs. And one person get jazz, one person get the country CD. So, can I get a whoop whoop?
From me?
Including you.
I'm tired of myself already just from that introduction. I'm just...
I'm sorry. You got a lot. Ladies and gents, please welcome Dennis Blair. I started this show because I love songwriters, I love musicians, I love singers, but I love comedians because I think they are one of the most open-minded and smartest people to be able to laugh at things in life and can make a joke about it, and that's a talent.
Well, it's been 40 years of my life being a comedian, going from a songwriter to a comedian.
Wow.
So it's been, and it's the kind of thing where if I was looking for it or if I was trying hard to do it, it never would have happened. It was just, I fell into it accidentally.
How did you fall into it accidentally?
Well, here's the short, below hour-and-a-half story. So, as most of us, I'm sure you have the same experience. You start writing songs when you're young, yes. And the Beatles were it for me. I saw them on Ed Sullivan. I was playing the accordion at the time. I was taking music lessons, and as soon as I saw the Beatles, I went, well, there goes the accordion. And I wasn't exactly meeting girls with that thing anyway. So I put down the accordion, picked up the guitar, started writing songs. When I was 12, I could probably play. It was a really bad song. I remember it. I could probably play it. And then as I grew up, I started joining bands, in high school and college. And we did pretty well, with going out and touring with little places. And then I started doing wedding bands, you know, from that. And always trying to write songs, always trying to push my song, was getting nowhere, you know, tons of rejection.
Right.
You know, everywhere you go, no, it's okay, but it's not good enough. And so you build up some anger and you build up some resentment after a while. And then I started doing bars and lounges. And you go, I don't know if you've had this experience, you're in a bar, you're in a lounge, no one's really listening to you sing, you know.
Yes.
They're talking, they're laughing.
Yes.
And so I got very indignant one night and I said, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to do a parody. I'm going to do a song parody of and the big song at that time was the Bee Gees' Staying Alive. So I came down and I did a couple of James Taylor songs, a couple of Paul Simon songs, and then I started doing my parody of Staying Alive, which was Singing Too High. And that's what I did. And if you go on YouTube, it's on my YouTube channel. It's my first appearance, my TV appearance on Don Kirshner. Anyway, that night, people started paying attention. They go, "Hey, wait, those aren't the words. He's messing up the words." And then they started listening. They started laughing because I'm just going, you know, nobody today can tell what I'm saying because I'm singing too high, singing too high. My career is zooming, but I can't get a woman because I'm singing too high. That was basically it. So then, from people not paying attention, they start paying attention. I'm going, this might be something. And they wanted more. And then I started doing some stand-up comedy in the middle of the parodies that I would write. Then I
started doing stand-up comedy out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere.
That's crazy.
It was boredom and resentment. Just started my comedy career. And then it started going well. And I went into New York City. You know, I lived in Long Island. I went into Manhattan and auditioned on Sunday night at Dangerfield's on 61st and 1st. And it went so well that they had me start opening for the people who had performed there, like Jackie Mason and eventually Rodney. So that's how I got started with comedy, from being a musician, songwriter, to a comedian.
Wow. I guess either you already had it factor or not. You were always funny, right?
Yeah, well, even in school, I would do impressions of the teachers, and I would try to get to, again, I was one of those guys when I was 17 years old, I looked like I was 12. So I had a hard time fitting in, you know. So the only defense in school, besides music, which I started doing, was also trying to be funny in class. And people started, oh, he's a funny guy. So, you know, it's all acceptance. It's all about getting accepted by your peers and trying to, you know, get ahead and fit in. So that's, I had comedy kind of on the side and music. So I had both. So both of them came together in my 20s, and it worked out real well.
Oh, that's a crazy weapon.
It is.
I know you can do a lot of impersonations, but can you give us a little, some, just a few?
I mean, first of all, one of my more modern ones, and unfortunately he's not going to win, is Bernie Sanders. I don't know if you know Bernie Sanders, but he would have been giving everybody everything free to everybody. This entire podcast will be absolutely free of charge, and you will actually get $15 an hour. Okay, that's one of my better, more recent ones. Bernie Sanders. I do Katharine Hepburn. There's that one too. You know, sometimes I pull it out at the end of a show and start doing it, you know. And of course, this Woody Allen, one of my all-time favorite impressions, was, you know, used to do that all the time. But, you know, some people watching won't even know who Woody Allen is anymore. So I'll just do a short one. You know, there's three in a row.
I love when you were playing this Paul Simon.
Yes. I'm sitting by the basement door, my feet don't even reach the floor. I'm tired of being 4'3". That was a version of it. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing I still do when I go out on comedy tours, which hopefully will happen eventually.
Thank you so much. How does it feel like to make people laugh? Because music heals and laughter heals, but you have two great elements to heal the world. Right.
Well, it worked out for me because, like I said, I wasn't looking to be a comedian. It just happened out of my resentment and anger, and just as an accident. And when I Dangerfield, I started opening for Rodney Dangerfield in early 1980. Right around then, he became the biggest comedian in the world. He had that movie called Caddyshack, and it made him a huge star. He had always been pretty well known, but after Caddyshack, he was selling out 3,000-seat theaters, and he had me come and open for him. So, you know, from being a musician in a wine and cheese place, having people not listening to me, to
what a transformation.
4 months later, I'm playing 3,000-seat theaters, opening for the biggest comic in America. You couldn't plan that, you know?
Right. So that just opened up the door for you.
Right. And then from that, I got an agent. And then when he wasn't touring, I would tour with other people. So, and in the 80s, there were also comedy clubs everywhere, and they paid really well. So as far as making money, that was a great way to make money. Not so much these days, unless you're well known, I get the feeling. But in those days, there were tons of comedy clubs, and they all paid generously. So between opening for big stars and doing comedy clubs.
Where were you living at the time when you're touring all over the world?
New York City.
The maker of comedy too.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, you know, they had Catch a Rising Star, which was the big club there. That's gone now, but they had the Comic Strip, which I still think is there, and the Improv. So plenty of places. And then on the road, you had tons of, you know, you go anywhere, Ohio, Cleveland, LA. LA had the Improv there, the Midwest, comedy clubs, Las Vegas, everywhere they had comedy clubs. It was a really good living.
Right. So, you know, George Carlin, I'm a huge fan because not only because he's funny, but also he was exposing a lot of truth, almost kind of like risking your life too. And I admire these people. And when certain people just laugh at them, like, oh, it's a conspiracy. You know what? Conspiracy, CIA started using the word so that people can laugh at it. Oh, it's just a theory. It's not a theory. Nothing just comes out of nowhere. But because I know some stuff from living in New York about the music business, you know, why people can't find out about it because they signed the NDA and they can't talk about it. They're going to get killed. Yeah. And who knows? It's only God and you and the other person on the couch, director's couch. Those are the only people that knows, unless we got a hidden camera or something.
Yeah, well, now we have cell phones, so you know, less people can get away with stuff that they used to, which is kind of cool, you know.
But still, if you are in the director's couch and just happens, it's, you know, it's not easy to record even on a cell phone. So yeah. So how is it like to be working with him? What did you learn as you're a comedian yourself?
Well, let's see. I had been doing comedy for approximately 8 years before I hooked up with George. I opened up for Rodney for 3 years, Joan Rivers for 2.5, Tom Jones for 1 year, and also with those are my main gigs. And I also would do like a weekend here and there with other people. So I had an agent who was getting me all this great work. Like, you want to open up for this guy? You want to open up for Laura Branigan? You want to open up for Donnie and Marie for a weekend? And I was working all the time. And one day out of the blue, he said, hey, do you want to open up for George Carlin for 3 months? And I said, let me think about it. Yes.
Of course.
Of course. Because, I mean, for comedians, he's like the gold standard,
Yeah.
And I don't know why he all of a sudden he saw a tape of me, a video of me doing a TV show. And so it was Omaha, Nebraska. I'll never forget it. I was downstairs in my dressing room, never met the guy before. And I didn't know what he was going to be like because some celebrities, you meet them and their image is totally different.
Totally different.
So I hear the door open up and I'm pacing in my I hear the door open up upstairs and it's that familiar voice that everyone knows from TV. It's Carlin going, hey, Dennis, where the fuck are you? I never met the guy before.
I love it.
He goes, hi, I'm George. I go, I know. How you doing? He goes, and I had like a plate of like carrots and grapes or something that they provided for me. And he said, what are these, carrots and grapes? I'm taking like half them fucking things, all right? And he starts doing that. And he's going around the room and he's saying, this and that. And he's really funny. And I'm going, this is great. Like goofy. He's not like angry like I thought he might be, from some of his TV appearances. And he goes, all right, I'm going to watch it tonight, so don't fuck up. He goes up there. And I went, well, that was kind of fun. So he put me in and did the show. Luckily, it was, it went really well for me. You never know how it's going to go, especially when you're opening for someone. Got off stage and I didn't see him right away. I'm going, oh, maybe he didn't watch me. And then like 10 seconds later, I hear applause coming towards me, and I look over. George had been behind the curtain listening to me and the audience response. And he said, "That went great. Yeah, let's do this for 3 months." I said, "Okay."
Wow.
And within 3 months, we got close, and what I did with my music and stupid parodies seemed to work with what he did. Got the audience in the mood, and so after 3 months, he just said, "You want to just keep going?"
Then it became 18 years?
Became 18 years, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he worked all the time. I mean, he's one of those guys who was always obsessed with working, because him going on the road was him developing a new HBO special every 2 or 3 years. So
right.
He 150 days a year, which was fantastic,
Mm-hmm. So you also like that kind of satire style. Did you learn from him, or you always? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I felt pretty good about how the show had gone that first night. And of course, I wanted to watch his show. So I'm feeling pretty good. I go up in the audience and I watch his show, and he's coming up with this stuff that, oh my God, it was amazingly funny and really good. And I went slowly from feeling good about my show to going, okay, I could never be this good. Okay, I got to start writing more, because he'd do like an hour and a half, and it was all stuff I'd never heard before. You know how you'll hear a comic on TV, and I've seen him do that bit or that routine. I'd never heard any of it, and it was like, and I was kind of a fan, so I knew a lot of his stuff. I'm going, he must sit at home and just write all day. So I went from feeling pretty good about myself to, okay, I got to get a lot better if I'm gonna feel better about myself, and I got to start writing more. So yeah, I mean, just the work ethic is what I kind of got from him, trying to sit down and write some stuff and try to do new stuff every once in a while.
You had all other peer comedians had a raving admiration toward you, and John Rivers said you should be on a movie screen. And so did you intentionally stay behind you because you can also write?
Here's what happened. This is the best thing that happened to me with movies. Rodney had just done Caddyshack. I was touring with him, and he came to me one day in his dressing room and said, "Yeah, I'll do Rodney for you." He goes, "Yeah, they want to do a movie with me, okay? They want me to star in my own movie, all right? Because Caddyshack, I did okay, all right? So, hey, Dennis, if you come up with an idea for a movie for me, let me know, okay?" Now, the biggest comic in America has just asked me to come up with an idea for a movie for him. I've been doing comedy for 3 months or something. So I run home immediately. I'm just pacing. I'm going, I got to come up with a movie idea for Rodney Dangerfield. And I came up with the basic idea for Easy Money. And I went back to the club where he still was, and I said, "I got this idea." He said, "That was fast." I said, "Well, I'm an opportunist." And I told him the idea. He said, "Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay." So that's what happened. He pitched the idea, and Orion Pictures bought it, and they hired 2 writers. And this is kind of a funny story. So they hired these 2 writers. One writer was the husband of his then manager, Estelle Endler. The other writer was P.J. O'Rourke, he's been on Bill Maher a whole bunch of times. He's a very famous writer, very satirical and really good writer. Anyway, Rodney calls me up and says, "Hey, they gave me the script they wrote. It's a piece of shit." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm going to send you this piece of shit. Tell me what you think." So he sends me the script, and I read it, and it's a first draft, so it needs work, but it's not bad. I said, "Yeah, Rodney, it's a first draft, and I'm sure they'll work on it." And he goes, "That's what I thought. It's a piece of shit, right?" He goes, "No." He hangs up. He calls his manager, whose husband is one of the writers, and said, "Dennis agrees with me. It's a piece of shit." He said, "I want him to be one of the writers on the movie." So he calls his first meeting for writers at his apartment, and I get to meet PJ and Michael, who have been told that their script is a piece of shit and that I agreed with that. I never knew that they told him. And I'm going, why are these guys being so unfriendly to me? They're not looking at me at the table. Finally, it all got worked out, and I told them, no, I never said that. But the first couple of weeks writing Easy Money was a pain because they thought that I hated them, and I hated their work. So that was my big movie. And I was in 2 small scenes. The director put me in 2 scenes of the movie, too. But then from there, we wrote another movie, and it got sold, but it never got made. And then one thing led to another, and it's the business and all that stuff. So,
did you want it to expand? Did you want to be the star in the movie or not?
I would have. I think, as most comics in the '80s, a lot of us did. We dreamed of being like in a sitcom or something like that, or even a movie. And yeah, I would have liked that, but it just didn't work out for me. And I was also on the road so much. And Rodney would tour a lot, Joan would tour a lot, and I really enjoyed live performing most.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have that drive to, like, go to every audition. And they say, oh no, you'll fail like 90% of the time or 95%. So it wasn't anything that I doggedly pursued. I was fine on the road and performing.
Okay, cool. Then next section, I want to get to the meat of the songwriting. I hope you enjoyed part 1. Please continue to watch part 2 about songwriting as well. And don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get notified about new videos of Songwriters Room, my new music, or Japanese series. Arigato!